Hello, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill, Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals. And today we have a great guest in he hasn't flown in. We don't have to do that anymore, but he's zooming in from Ukraine. As a tech startup, you need more than an effective and usable product. You need to build a brand identity. And actually, we all need to build a brand identity. And this is where Bohdan Paladiychuk steps in from Kiev, Ukraine. He has been okay, we'll cut that out. I don't know what happened. He's been an active creative director, brand strategist, and entrepreneur for over a decade. Welcome, Bohdan.
Hi there. Excited to be here and share all the possible knowledge for the folks that are trying to be entrepreneurs and are just exploring the world of business, for sure.
Absolutely. So let's just start really basic. Like, why is a brand so important? Can't we just say, hey, I do tech, and like people are just going to get that? And
I think it's very important in terms of getting people to actually find your product first off. Actually, brand serves multiple things, I would say, in the timeline of any company, I would say. So as much as companies are trying to work on their product, on their service, and get it on the greatest level, I believe the arena of brand identity and the brand communication is usually underworked in many cases. But that actually doesn't apply to case of the biggest brands in the world, because they are understanding that the brand requires a lot of effort as well, and there has to be a lot of power of your mind put into how you get people to learn about your product and form the opinion that will actually define your pricing and just whether the customers are gonna choose your product and business and stick with it, or they're just gonna kind of miss it in the crowd. So that's why brand, I think, is extremely important and very often underlooked, especially by smaller businesses.
well, and you bring up a great point. You just touched on pricing there. And I think that our brand, like how we present ourselves to the world, it sets an expectation, right? If I've got, basically the equivalent of holes in my pants and, patches over them, then people are going to think, okay, this is going to be cheap. I'm not going to pay too much for this. As opposed to if I present myself, if I come in with an evening gown on, people are going to say, I mean, obviously I'm not selling myself. I'm just trying to make an example of how your business comes out in evening wear and a tuxedo, then they're going to think, oh, okay, this is going to be high end. I'm going to get a different level of service. So that kind of helps clients to self-select as well, right?
In the end of the day, it's relating to trust, I believe, that you
Yes,
have for the
true.
brand
Yeah.
and actually the love for the brand. So the more you love something, the more you're kind of not seeing the gaps or the flaws that the business in our case has. It has to do with the way we work with our emotions, I believe, right? Because we certainly have similar emotions to people and actually to businesses. So when I'm really like a huge fan of, say, Tesla, right, I can forgive them lots of things when somebody's going to say there's a car with a better engine or that has I don't know, more horsepower, for example, or speeds up more fast. If we do love like Tesla, we forget it. Or for example, we can forgive Apple, right, for some time not doing that much of innovation in their product or just changing the body color of the phone itself. But we're just so much into it that we are absolutely ready to overpay to do a purchase that is not necessarily, something that has a huge
Strictly
practical.
necessary.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you tend to overpay for the commodity, and that what brand is trying to kind of actually do, I believe.
Well, and that brings up a point of brand loyalty, right? You can't be loyal if there's no brand. If you just like, oh, this person's going to give me the same service as this other person. And why should I call them when this guy's got something on sale this week, right?
Well, speaking in terms, the brand exists always because the term brand itself is the set of emotions and associations that people have with the business or service. So the brand will exist anyway. It's just about making this brand image conscious. So actually getting people to think things that will benefit your pricing, your business, the attraction of new customers, the retention, the lifetime value. And the more you work towards shaping this cohesive and consistent opinion of customers that actually takes a lot of work, the more benefits you can get out of them, because people are going to have just sporadic opinions if it's, again, not formulated within a clear strategy, and they still will have different opinions even if you do. But what you're trying to do with the brand is get these opinions as much tighter together to serve your business objectives. And this is, I believe, the ultimate goal of brand.
So, first of all, I would like to hear, not first of all, I guess we're already at second of all now. How did you get involved in branding, especially with text? Because that's a niche, right? How did that all come about?
Yeah, for sure. So actually, I was myself very interested in marketing, as it is, I believe. And actually, I'm coming from the creative background as well. So design and creative has always been the integral part of my personality. I just love coming up with things. It has been there the whole time. So to me, combining the challenge, the most important business thing, which is the growth, and then the creative techniques, is kind of where branding has all these pieces coming together at one single task. And this is how I started exploring it. And yeah, I guess just met a lot of talented people, learned a lot of things from the guys like Gary Randall, for example, from Spotify, because I believe that, yeah, guys are like Spotify or Apple again, or Nike. These are the popular brands that are way more different ones. We're in Puma and wearing one right now, a free ad placement. I love what they're doing, and whenever I see their ads, whenever I see their communication, whenever I touch their product or experience the whole thing, I believe this is a very interesting way to kind of give emotions to other people. I believe in make something valuable in this world besides the commodity, which is the product usually itself. So this is how my interest began, and this is how we started doing all of it. Yeah.
Fun. So when you start working with a company, with a person, a startup, if it's one person or a group, how do you connect their vision to evoke some emotion from a person who's going to interact with the brand?
I think it always starts with actually with the founder's vision about why did they start this business in the first place? What are their internal motivations and drivers? Because if they don't believe in what brand is trying to communicate or trying to be, I think they're not going to be able to kind of live this whole thing, drive this whole thing properly. So definitely the vision of founders is the key for setting the base of the brand. But I think everything else should also be like a very smart kind of thinking process about how you want to set it up so it actually is also relevant to the people that you're trying to serve, because that's also important to have this connection between people again, and on an emotional level or on the level of associations that you're trying to build with your brand.
Yeah, perfect. And then what is it about a brand that evokes an emotion? I mean, right? Why should we feel such loyalty to Apple? I mean, what happened in that sales process or that marketing process that makes us feel so connected to them?
I think the biggest part is the story that the brand has. It's about why they exist, why this huge, tremendous kind of company, right, is doing what they're doing. Because I think this is my personal opinion, that people are always trying to search for some bigger thing in life, something that they would believe in, that they want to again relate to and think that is worthy, and something that again reflects their own values, so what they think is important in life. So that's what we see, for example, Apple using a lot lately, saying like we want to go carbon neutral because people understand that, kind of caring about their ecology is something important. That's
Mhm.
why these brands with the stories that they're telling, which is the most probably the biggest way to evoke people's imaginations, because everything, most of the things we perceive are stories. Even in the movie theater, right, we're watching the story, you feel like you're there, you feel like you're part of it, your emotions are there, right, your brain is super activated. But then when you just close somebody's right face with the arm, you see this is just like a flat image in the end of the day. So this is just a story. So this is what I think all the big brands are also trying to do, and evoke the emotions with storytelling. And then it comes to the communication, how it is done. It is the videos, the ads, the activation campaigns. And again, they just care about what emotion you receive in the end of the day. But also people, I think, also want to belong to something. And as I said, something bigger than them, also belonging to a social group. So like we are fans of something, and you want to be kind of fan of something as well, kind of part of this group, because you believe that believing that value or being associated with that value that these people and the brand believes is actually kind of boosting your self-esteem and the way of actualization, self-actualization in the world.
which I think is probably even more important now after COVID because people lost a lot of that. I mean, there are people, I have a co-working space here. The people come in here, and the only time during the week that they see somebody other than their family is when they come in here. That's that's not healthy, I don't think. Do you think
Yeah.
there's a difference in in your marketing if it's business to consumer versus business to business? Do you think business cares about emotion?
They should both, because in the end of the day, both of the purchaser, either the B2C or B2B, are the people actually on the receiving end. That's why both of these things should be aimed at people, and there should not be this thing that B2B should be kind of like boring and very like kind of direct in selling versus B2C that can be sometimes fun. But for some reason, B2B space is usually more kind of subtle or conventional, I would say. People are trying to play in the safe side, just like because usually the business purchase and also like the purchase that you're making on a personal level, it still has some percentage to do with the motivation behind the purchase. In business, you're right, usually make money to make money to make money. So you're trying to get the value part of it, versus the B2C purchases which are not necessarily made to make money in the end of the day. For example, they are made to, I don't know, if it's food, to right satisfy your innate desire to continue living and have some food, some good food, for example, or some other goods. So that should definitely be taken into consideration. But again, I would emphasize that understanding that there's a person behind the screen, it's extremely important, because again, people are not going to watch boring ads. They're not going to buy something that you're trying to actively sell and push to them. So I think that B2B brands definitely have a lot to learn from the B2C, and not be afraid of kind of grasping these things that are okay in the B2C space, like DoorDash campaigns, for example. They're pretty good. I love them. They're very kind of sharp. I think that B2B should be doing more of that things instead of just, buy to sell, to that kind of approach.
Well, it's interesting because when you were talking, it reminds me. So I'm also a real estate broker, and when people walk into a house, they often connect with it emotionally, but they want to hear the logic of why this is a good choice to sort of back that up. They've already made the decision that they love it, but now they want to have the logic to back it up. And it seems like the B2B, you're kind of skating that balance where you want the person to connect with the brand, but they have to have the logic so that they could sell it and not say, "Oh, I just liked it because I thought their logo was pretty," right? I mean, nobody wants to be in that situation and say, "No, these are the facts. This is why I chose this company," right?
Yeah, because you're giving away lots of money in B2B primarily. Everything that you buy is usually more high ticket than buying something B2C. Well, definitely there are different examples. If you're buying a car, for example, B2C purchase can be more expensive than some smaller B2B service. But at the end of the day, usually B2B is about higher tickets. And when you give out money, like on the brain level, psychologically, the part of the brain that gets activated when you pay for something, or you're trying to get your money away, is the same part that is actually responsible for paying. So in the emotional state, kind of people are feeling bad for giving money away, especially again in B2B, there's going to be big amounts of money. So they need to be sure that this is worthy and there's some compensation. And this is actually the way that any purchase happens. There's this kind of swing in the head between like perceived value and then the pain of loss that you're going to have, because, you are giving away that money. And this is again where the brand also steps in and can kind of push more on the value side of things, or at the same time he can also push on kind of reducing the cost effect that is there. Like, it's been this amount, it's been 10.99 and now it's 7.99 because it's cheaper, even though the price can be the same. These are things that are branding and marketing are influencing and actually reducing the pain of getting that money away. But primarily, again, you want to use it, and the best ones use it to actually create added value. As I said, Apple, they're doing or GoPro, my favorite example. They're just doing the camera recorders, which are, I don't know how much, like $200. They should cost, or even less than that, but they cost like $799 because they are for sports people. So pretty much the product is, kind of not that different from anything else, but the way they positioned it and the way they kind of are getting into people's brain into putting their ads on the Formula One and doing all these extreme activities that they want to say, like, hey, this is for the people who find themselves very like kind of extreme minded and these kind of explorers of the world. So that's how they build a brand. So again, you're buying not just the cam, you're buying a sign for all the people that say, hey, I'm this extreme kind of guy, and this is my lifestyle. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point as far as like designer stuff, right? I mean, not that you're branding for designer clothing, but even GoPro is like a designer thing in a way, because when people see it, they say, "Oh, that person had," I mean, in this case, like $800 to pay for a $150 camera, right? So they must be they're going to make certain assumptions about that person just based on the fact that they have this thing.
yeah, so these things are just based off your feeling of I'm greater than somebody else, which is a very interesting philosophical concept to talk about. But yeah, I guess that is the thing with a lot of fashion brands with the celebrity lifestyle as it is, I believe, and these kind of things. People are always trying to kind of, you know, be something that they maybe are not, or they're not able to express in any different way, or this belief is like being part of this brand and showcasing that is the best way how they can talk about that, or that hobby, or who they are on, or what brand they want to have themselves again. So this is the alignment of, right, the internal public brand and the brand of the company that is kind of going in line with that.
Yeah. How so we've sat down, or you've sat down with the founders, and you've understood why they started this company, why this whole technology is important to them. And then what are some of the next steps? I mean, to me, like, marketing just happens in a bubble. I don't understand how people, I mean, when I was looking at the branding piece for my company, I gave the person some pretty, well, the ideas that I gave her were completely different than the ideas that came out, and I'm not even sure how that iteration even happened. I mean, I was a part of it, right? She sent me some ideas, and was going back and forth, but I mean, how does that evolution occur? I feel like I'm not the only one that doesn't totally understand the process.
I think you have to understand what actually is the outcome. And what you're talking about primarily, I believe, is related more towards the visual identity, like
Yeah.
the visual identity of the brand. So, what's the logo? What are the colors? They should support the big message that your brand is actually having. So, if you say, yeah, with the GoPro example, right? They're saying, like, we want to be for active people who find themselves like these cool extreme sports guys. They're absolutely, energetic and doing, I don't know, outside extreme activities. So, right, this is who they want to sell it to. So that's why they should bring their brand image, which is the visual identity, the message that they have, again, the color palette, and all the other things that they're doing. They should be supporting that one goal to sell kind of cameras to that people. That's why they create, right, this kind of I don't know, videos. For example, they are part of the brand identity as well. It's not, again, just the logo itself. Or we can say Red Bull, which gives you like extra energy for super active people, right? Why you want to be active? Because you're doing sports, you're doing traveling, you're doing partying and stuff like that. That's why their brand, for example, is also present on the sport events, present on the parties. They're trying to integrate this Red Bull vodka kind of drink as their standard cocktail, so integrated into cultural consumption level of alcohol, because the party people are also part of their target audience, and that's why they have the logo of the bull, right? Because you're like bull power, bulls are active, and they also have this kind of bull taurine component in their drink that kind of makes this drink special. And that's why they would have all these bulls, they're like representing the energy of, kind of strength, I believe, of active compulsion, I believe. And this way, the logo serves the purpose, right? It's not about what kind of graphical part you find beautiful, right? You can like this thing. You can like minimalistic style. You can like minimalistic. You can say like, I'm not in love with the shape. Doesn't matter, really. I'll be honest, not really. What matters is how metaphorically you are integrating this code, right, into the visual part of it, and how well people can read it off without any further explanation about what it is. So, and the color, for example, also plays a very important role. It's not about what kind of color you like, and I even doubt that it has to do a lot with the psychological associations. Because if I ask you like purple, what is it associate? Like, what do you associate purple with? People are going to have different opinions. Besides this kind of Googleable, purple is for yada yada, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like using that color, giving that color a meaning, and kind of consistently telling people, hey, you should associate this color with this thing, is what you're gonna have. I think like Switzerland or like Swiss quality thing. Name the color.
Well, I
You know
guess red.
exactly right. So
Yeah.
like whenever
Yeah.
you see this kind of you think Swiss, you think of this kind of red thing, and these things are like very much together, or this like bold plus sign that is always there in the watches and in the
Right.
clothes
Yeah.
that they have. Like that's the way of kind of combining the color coding with the set of the attributes and values, and that's why you want to kind of have it, because this way you can remind people about that thing and make them flashback and be like, aha, that is that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you don't even need to put the name on stuff. You just put the little plus sign and then it's like, oh, okay, Swiss, okay. Right.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
But
that's when
it's
you know you've arrived, right?
it's always trying to scream, right? Like, hey, this is us. You have to buy it. I think this is the again the founders that are kind of afraid of doing some more not conventional marketing. I believe they're trying to just like make the logo bigger thing comes from this kind of part. I've heard this like so many times when I'm doing the websites, for example. Can you make our logo bigger? I can. You what's the goal of it? You
What's
want
the
people to
point?
see it. If the content is good, if the product is good, people are gonna see your thing. It's not about them, kind of having it as big as possible. And sometimes it's not even sometimes about the size. It can be about the background, or there are way more other ways to make this logo stand out. Even in the video ad, for example, placing it in the very critical moment of something, or like subtly placing it on some like kind of bottle, right? This is a smart way of getting people to remember that. So not actually having it, huge big in the end of the day and just saying, yeah, we have. Otherwise, brands again like Nike, they were screaming, we have the best shoes in the world, which they never say in their ads, right? They're doing like keep moving, be the
Yeah.
sportsman, stay motivated, and
Just
and
do it.
exactly stuff. That's
Yeah. I mean, it's true. That's when you know the logo, you see the swoosh. Okay, I know that's Nike. But so much went behind that, right? So much had to go behind that before we even would recognize that swoosh and know what the heck the point was or whatever. Although I don't still know what the point is, but um, so it's not just about the your brand. I mean, like when I think of branding, of course, I think of your logo and stuff like that. But it's the whole all encompassing face that you're showing to the world. Yeah.
Yes, it's this opinion. And again, it's not only about the product or the exact product experience. It's about everything, the communication, and it also, the brand itself is brought to life in many ways. For example, if you're saying you're trying to build a friendly brand, for example, like a Disney, right? It's this very like kind imagination magic type of vibe.
Right.
Imagine if you ever dealt with somebody from that company and they turn out to be extremely rude, extremely, I don't know, arrogant, your matrix would crash probably because you think it's this whole magic. So it's also about teaching the people that are working within the company what these values are. And the more again they authentic they are to the founders, then they hire the people who have the same values that are related to the brand. And this way, again, when we talk kindness, the brand is trying to cultivate kindness, right? So the people are going to be kind, the way the tone of voice is going to be kind, they're kind of be trying to be kind to you by saying congratulations on your birthday or giving you free stuff. Right? It's not again about the color, it's about the whole kind of story and the way you deliver it, and you deliver it on every single touch point.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's huge, right? You're absolutely right because you've got this. You've even I think of, again, I'm in the retail zone. I'm still thinking about Christmas shopping. But but I'm thinking about when you walk into a shop that has, oh, we're so shishi and whatever, and then, there's like loud music playing and it's really kind of unsettling, and then the staff doesn't pay attention to you. I mean, you just want to turn around and walk out as opposed to you go into a place where they kind of get it and everything's more relaxed and people greet you and they want to take your clothes and hang them in the fitting room for you. It's a whole, you're right. When people have that disconnect between who you say you are and who you're actually representing yourself as in the world,
Yes,
it's
for sure.
then you lose that loyalty, right? You lose that.
Whenever you're trying to be not who you are, people see like very fast, I believe.
Yeah.
So I like using the example that there are two brands that are talking, for example, tech brands that are talking about, we care about your privacy a lot. There's Facebook saying that. Do
Which we
you,
know is bullshit, sorry.
this way, whenever we're trying to kind of bring that message out, we know that it's not necessarily true because they sold lots of our data to somebody else and they got fined for it. And there's Apple saying we care about your confidentiality and security of your data, and then
Yeah.
you right. So it's just not about having the right message. It's about actually living up to these values that you're trying to show to this world. Because again, if you're not authentic, they're going to find it out, or you have to mask it real hard, which I believe again is almost impossible, especially if you have some bigger business, or again, you have to apply extreme effort to make sure this is consistent across all the touch points. If you're not really living up and the people are not living up to it, they don't know what they're building, why, and what's the brand again that they're standing for within the process.
Yeah. It's interesting that, you bring up Facebook, that they didn't suffer more from that. I mean, I guess we're all just like, no, we're not on Facebook because, we know there's nothing private here. We know everybody in the world can see all the stuff we're putting out here. So,
It's
we don't, yeah. So
you
why are
know,
you, yeah,
now,
that's true.
so
So why are you lying to us?
exactly. They just don't have any other options. If there were, people might have kind of switched there, and then the rebellion or shake of the swing might have happened. But because people don't have any other kind of social network like they do, like there's Instagram,
Yeah,
by
which is
Facebook.
owned by Facebook. Thank you very much. Right? Like, let's just buy the competition.
Yeah, I guess. And again, it has to do also with the huge loyalty that they built before that happened. So, but you
Right.
still know that kind of gave you the opportunity to connect with people. You still were doing lots of things online, and then in the end, yeah, they're kind of sold your data, but then again, they already had a huge and I believe like undeniable love, right? Because again, this is like kind of you don't choose your mother kind of thing, right? This kind of you don't choose your social network. It's primarily just one. I mean, there's
Yeah.
been some places that were trying to be there, but again, you know that they have been there for a long time. They have satisfied your needs for a long time. They have established themselves as a very trustworthy brand. So yeah, when this thing happened, because there are not that many alternatives, people can still kind of live, continue living with them. So this is also a huge reason why you should build brand, because even if you fuck up sometimes, right, it's totally kind of smoothened by the way your brand kind of handles it. And if they were like kind of even fun, making jokes about it and making fun about it, maybe like, making some memes or like images like, yeah, oops, we sold your data, but now we can, get you money or something, like play around with it. There's also huge science of how to flip the fuck ups into actually like things that people are going to appreciate. And the thing is there also like, it's the honesty. They kind of, and they also went there, right, and paid the people back, and they said like, we're gonna give you money, or you can apply for fines. At least I saw that service message that I can apply for fines if I believe that I was violated by that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are all interesting ways a brand should come together, I believe, and serve the purpose.
Do you have like a favorite type of client to work with?
The clients that are not afraid to go crazy, that are understanding that you're not going to make it to the top by just fitting in. These are my favorite type of clients, I would say. And the clients that are just making a good change, I can see and sense that they're not doing it to establish themselves as a credible person. They're not in the business to kind of get money. They actually believe in their idea. They see the value in their idea, and their idea actually gets value to the world, other than helping some dudes make more money, but actually bringing a good change. These are the people that I love working with, I believe. Yeah.
Excellent. So Bogdan, what's like one thing that you think every startup should know about branding?
That this is way more than the logo and the colors, and it's way more than your personal preferences about what you find beautiful in this world. It's about building this beautiful metaphor that is associated with this emotions, or again the points you're trying to prove to the people. But again, branding is also relating a lot, because there's a set of emotional associations, and emotions and associations. It has to do a lot with the emotional part. And then trying to say we're cheaper than somebody else, for example, is the rational benefit. So
Mm.
distinguishing between the rational thing and then the emotional part of it is extremely important to understand, even though, again, for the founders and the entrepreneurs, which that can be a challenge because usually they are the practical guys, the numbers guys, and the branding is the thing that you can hardly measure. Even you can, there are definitely a lot of ways to measure it, like the reach and then the engagement. But if you're like niche B2B, sometimes that's kind of, it's harder to measure, I believe.
Right.
But yeah, this is a very underlooked part of the decision making process. And again, the emotion plays a huge part in B2B purchases as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think I understood earlier when you were talking about some of the services that you offer, you're also creating videos and things like that for your clients, like not just helping them come up with this brand identity, but actually implementing it as they go forward. Yes.
Yes, we helped tech brands establish themselves primarily. So again, this comes with a strategy of who they are, what's their communication strategy, how they're going to communicate to the world. And that I believe has been underlooked as well, but it needs a lot of clarity in order to build everything from there, because this is the base of the things. So next we go to the graphical part where we build up the brand identity and how the brand is going to look, how it's going to hook the people, and then again how it all is communicated over time consistently. So whether it's text posts in social networks, whether it's activation campaigns, it is like video ads or anything to prove people that you are what you're claiming to be. And also our second part is also we love working with products as well. So in the tech business, product also forms a huge impression on the brand itself. So this is also the place where our design and branding kind of expertise comes together as well, is actually building the product mindfully with the brand values in head, but it also with all this other specifics like UX and stuff like that. But practically saying is the brand identity is the amazing website, the brand guidelines, which is more complicated than just the identity part of it, of course. And then the ads and the campaigns, which are again the master thing. So these things we are doing in order to help brands get attention, get visible, and stay on top of people's minds, because there's so many competitors out there, even indirect competitors. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, my idea is absolutely new. There's nobody doing thing that I'm doing. But in the end of the day, there are always kind of some substitutions of how people are solving this problem that they have been
Right.
solved for. And this is a challenge for the brand to be like, hey, we are the best ones to kind of turn out to when you have this kind of issue or looking for something.
When you're working with the companies, this isn't really a fair question for you, but it just might help some people who are, in that entrepreneurial time, they're just getting started and they're thinking, "Oh, things are not happening as fast as I want them to." How long do you sort of see on average this time taking from the idea from when this product is first introduced to the world until it really starts to get some traction?
It depends on the effort that you apply. For example, if you had $100 billion to notify all the people in the world that your product exists and it's absolutely good, you
Yeah,
probably wouldn't have that much of a problem, right? You could literally pay every single person on the planet $2 to just view your ad. Say like,
yeah,
would you mind checking out what I have for $2? That's it. You don't even need to go big, right? But because the resources are limited and you're trying to find these creative ways how only people can spot you, because this is the basis of the process. First of all, all the people in the world should, or like the relevant people that you believe can be purchasers of your service, they
yeah,
first of all should see you, and then they should like you, right? So these are also two different things. First is about the number of reach, and then again, and but also like see you, like you, but in the end of the day, you need to hook that way that they remember you. So these three areas are taking time, and the more resources you apply, the more creative you are, but also how valuable and good your product is. These factors are gonna impact how fast does it take to actually establish a dominance. And again, this is it's a long-term play. There's no like kind of solution, because for every single solution product, there would be different people who buy it for different reasons, different
yeah,
amount of resources that you have. And it's not just the financial resources, it's about also like the creative resources, the ideas and the people to bring it to life and the possibilities. And yeah, so there's definitely not one bill for everything, but I would definitely say that you can understand that it's lots of work and it doesn't really happen overnight, unless again you have some extraterrestrial resource, whether creative or financial, to get it seen, because that's also possible. And this is what we try to also do, like amplify the message to its maximum possible, right, amount, I guess, of people that see it and like it and then remember it and come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So how big of a factor is social media, or should I should say, is there any other type of is there any other way that makes sense to get product information out there besides social media, or is that just kind of it?
For sure, there are different ways. You can even like look back at your experience where you have encountered some brand. I was again just coming back to that. I was doing the research for the post delivery service. I was the respondent on this focus group thing, and then I found that the most recognizable ad that they had was actually the cars that were wrapped in their branding, because they are a delivery service and they have these cars all over the place.
Yeah.
They remind you of the brand of the company, right? So, and in social media, they're almost inactive. I haven't seen them. No, I mean, like, yeah, they're there because they're big, because they have to, but they're not doing something tremendous to catch people. So there are different ways of doing that. Some people go to Super Bowl, right, and place some ads there for millions of dollars,
Yeah.
which again makes sense for the big brands and for the it's the biggest event of the year as well. So like when you're placing your ad there, you're associated with this kind of, the most anticipated event in the world, which adds even more emotion to the association that people are going to have with you. So it does make sense value wise. But again, yeah, it's not just the social media as well. It's all the possible ways. But I guess people mostly are connected in the digital space. So if it's a global brand, definitely like a social media. If it's a local brand, you can stay a local, and there are like outdoor advertisement and any other things that you can do, or like installations again, and like activation campaigns. For example, if you're a global brand, people are usually spending their time online. If they're spending their time online, they all have social media, or like 95% of them, and they are going to be there. The thing is with social media that usually people use social media as it is to have fun primarily, or to have like some entertainment. They are not expecting really to kind of go and buy something. They go buy something in Google or from the place that they know, they just go directly into the store. So that also has a huge part into how brands are selling stuff through social media, and like kind of promoting themselves and building this brand communication. You cannot be like, because that's not why people come there. People come to social media to be kind of entertained, and it's a totally different kind of game. And this is also one of the culprits that I see in the brands running their digital thing.
So for people who like a global brand or for a local brand, there are other right things that would make more sense. So like you say, wrapping the car, maybe doing a supermarket ad or something like that, where you're going to see where your local audience, oops, where your local audience is going to see you again and again and again, and you start to get that, because I think that's part of it too, right? The more they see you, you just develop a trust because you kind of see them everywhere, right? Even though you may not have ever interacted with the brand.
Yeah, for sure. Because we see lots of things, and we have like our attention is spanned all over the thing. We have bazillion brands trying to cut through noise and get our attention. So the more frequently somebody else pops, the more possibility you have to be acknowledged by a human brain, seen by a human brain, remembered and considered trustworthy, and have some speech going on. But regarding the first part that you were saying, yeah, it's about who your customers are and where they are actually like located, what habits do they have, and how can you kind of integrate in their life in the way so they can know about you, but without that again direct pushing. Because I believe this is the new age of marketing, is not just being super direct, it's about being kind of indirect with that. But again, if you're a global brand, if you can do stuff in the Instagram where you would again as a GoPro, just kind of show cool videos of people jumping on skis, and that's what I would do, just watch for just entertainment. But then you have this logo, and then I see the video, then I see the logo, and I start associating it. And this is the, I think, very native way to integrate into my life, and get me to add at the same time, not make me feel like they're trying to sell something to me, but when I'm not looking to buy something right now, I'm looking for the entertainment, or like just releasing the.
Right. So I've sort of started thinking, not on purpose, but it just happened because I have a business which is very local. I have 2 businesses that are very local, real estate brokerage and my co-working space. And I'm doing a lot of social media ads, and it sounds like you're telling me that's a complete waste of money and that I'd be better off to, you know, put my
Not
ad on a shopping cart in the grocery store where people are thinking about buying, and they're also gonna stare at it the whole time they're filling their cart.
Yeah,
Interesting.
there are just different ways, and actually, like there's this thing called omni-channel marketing, which means you show them offline, you show them online, and the more touch points they have with your brand, the more they think that this brand is everywhere, and if this brand is everywhere, it is probably important, it is probably like recognizable. So yes, but so like being in different points is again extremely important because you're like, I see this once, I see this two times, three times, four times, like what is that? You kind of start having that again because you see it frequently, and our brain is like, oh, I've seen it, I've seen it, I've seen it. And then the more he thinks about it, like about I've seen it, the deeper the neuron track about you and in people's memory, I believe. But like most of the people use social media. So yeah, definitely this channel is working and will be working for sure. But again, there are currently way more, especially for the local brands, way more creative ways to get the attention of the local community. Right? I don't know if you have the some most the coolest supermarket, for example, or I don't know what people, movie theater, for example, that people just love and go there every single weekend. If you manage to do some collaboration with them, this way you kind of bring the hype. It's like the features in music, for example. I'm a no name. I feature with Drake. People listen to me because they know Drake, right? The same thing there as well. Like you can get a lot of exposure by doing the offline activities, but again, they have to be smart.
Right, right. Excellent. So Bogdan, I'm sorry, I just looked at the clock and I'm using up your whole morning or your whole afternoon, as it will. But so what is one thing that you wish I would have asked you that we haven't touched on, something that you want to make sure people know?
I believe that the emotions and the way they are kind of caused in digital, and I believe one of the most important parts of any brand's presence is the website itself. This is very like under talked, I think, thing today on the call, and I believe that every brand should have an amazing website because that's the way people are gonna go and check your credibility, who you are, how to find you, and those kind of things. So I believe that taking care of your website is also a huge part of building an online reputation, online presence, not just the ads and everything else. I believe so. Yeah, what I would like to say that if you like what I'm speaking right now, if you need any help with branding, acknowledgement of yourself, in terms of your brand, communication strategy, identity, or like an amazing, beautiful ad that hooks people, and the website as well. You can check ours, thecream.com. It's like the and then Q and then ream, like the cream, but with a Q. That's what we say because Q stands for quality. And if you check it out, you'll see how different it is from every other website. And if you experience some emotion and you kind of feel that something inside kind of shook, that you will understand what I'm talking about and why this is important in being different than everybody else and trying to get people's imagination to evoke. So again, leading by example and showing the examples on our own, I believe is the most honest way of saying that you actually are correspondent with what you were saying before and with the promises that you give and the philosophy that you have in the hat. So
Yeah.
stay with yourself, stay authentic, be creative, don't be afraid to go bold and to be yourself. And that's a good way to accomplish all the goals in life, even if they're commercial, which is absolutely fine.
Absolutely. Well, you certainly impressed me. I think you have some amazing insights and some really not unique, I think, but very well thought out and feels to me like they would be very successful ways of interacting with companies and with brands. And I'm very grateful that you were on the show today. Thank you very much.
For inviting and for launching this conversation is definitely always a different fountain of thoughts that you have to put together in order to kind of explain all this huge story in very short sentences and phrases. So I hope it was clear and it actually provides value for the people who are going to be listening and like, okay, yeah, I never thought of branding like this, for example, or there were good practical parts that they can take in their everyday life and maybe rethink because the lens that you have on things is the most important aspect of life, I believe, because everything comes from your thinking and your beliefs.
Yeah. And actually you just reminded me as well. a lot of people who are just starting out, they're thinking, I don't really, I'm just going to whip up a website myself, on Wix or on WordPress or whatever. I just throw something out there that just, has my contact info or whatnot, and not really realize how much that's degrading that first impression that people have of you when they hear about you, and then they go to your website and they're like, oh, this is just like some little rinky dink operation. I'm not going to call them. So we are going to put all the links to Bogdan in the show notes, of course, so you can reach out to him and allow him to transform your business and turn it into a real thing, not just some kind of garage operation that you've been working on. And think about someone who who is in that situation, who's got some great, fantastic idea, and they're just fumbling around and they just don't know how to launch that to the world, and share this episode with them, because they will thank you. Bogdan is going to transform their business. I have no doubt at all in my mind.
Thank you so much for the kind words. And yeah, in the end of the day, there's never a second chance to build a first impression. So that's always important.
So true. So true. Thanks so much, and see you next week.
Thank you. Bye bye.